Hey guys, welcome to another movie review. Today I'm going to be talking about the film Alien Covenant. This is the latest entry in the Alien franchise. It's a sequel to the 2012 film Prometheus, but it's also a prequel to the original Alien. So we're not quite at the original Alien yet on the Alien franchise timeline, but we are at a point that's after Prometheus, like I said, which was released in 2012, also directed by Ridley Scott. So in this film, Alien Covenant, guys, taking off, I would say roughly about 10 years after Prometheus, a new space crew is in space called the Covenant. Several members are aboard this ship, such as characters played by Danny McBride, James Franco, Katherine Waterston, a couple of other celebrities to name, like Billy Crudup is another one too. Um, and they're trying to find this planet where they can build a new civilization on. They have all these frozen embryos, kind of like in Jurassic Park, kind of a scenario that they're planning to create new life on this planet that they have planned out. Unfortunately, it takes several decades to get to this planet that they want to get to. And there's an incident that happens that I can't get into too much detail on. This is a spoiler-free review, so I'm going to try to avoid spoilers as much as I can, just for those who haven't seen this film yet. Um, so they find out about this planet that is actually closer in range to the other planet that they had in mind. And through a series of events, like I said, that I can't spoil, they decide to go to this closer planet instead just because it's safer. They don't have to run into the same problem that they ran into earlier with this incident that happened on their spaceship. So they decide to go with this other planet since it literally has almost everything else that this other planet they had in mind was that they've been traveling to for many years. So they decide to just go to this one instead. And so it's fine at first. You know, they reach the planet. There's wheat growing there. There's fresh water to drink from. Really no sign of danger at all. But as the planet it gets further researched and as they start to discover more about it and find out that they're not the only things and creatures there, certain types of dangers arise, and certain things that happened in Prometheus are now coming back to haunt this other planet that the space crew found. And characters such as David, who's played by Michael Fassbender again, he has a lot of secrets of his own while helping the Covenant discover what exactly this planet is and so forth. And we find out what exactly happened to that big ship that all these characters were aboard in Prometheus, and how that reached this planet, and it intersects with this new alien film as well. And we also get to find out why xenomorphs are on this planet here as well too. So the space crew has to figure out how exactly to outsmart and get away from this planet and the xenomorphs. So overall, guys, I really enjoyed Alien Covenant a lot. It's not the greatest Alien film ever made. I would say James Cameron's Aliens is probably my favorite Alien film. So the second film in the franchise that, like I said, that James Cameron once directed in the 80s. But I really enjoyed this film. There's a lot of things about it that I really enjoyed. A couple things I really didn't like, but for the most part, when I really enjoyed something about this film, I really, really enjoyed what they were doing. So for those positives and negatives of Alien Covenant, it's a very tense film. That's one of the biggest praises I can have about this movie. It's extremely tense. I was edge of my seat. I was very much in awe and in shock of things that were happening to these characters while they're on this planet and discovering xenomorphs and discovering things that they were hoping not to run into and hoping to build the new civilization on and so forth. So it's an extremely tense, engaging movie. I also like the overall planet set design that they go to. I like that there's wheat growing there. There's a lot of things about it that really make you believe that you can start a new civilization there and just start from scratch. So I really like the set design that they went with as far as this planet looks and feels like. There's also a lot of interesting ideas on creation. The character of David, played by Michael Fassbender, he gets to talk about creation a lot in this movie and kind of how civilizations start up and kind of how when something gets broken or something gets lost or something gets miscommunicated, that can be all or everything for a civilization. That means it can form something or it can break something. What exactly is a civilization? What isn't? So there's a lot of interesting ideas that are spread out through this movie, not only through the character of David, but through other characters too. But the character of David does get a lot of ideas as far as And he has a lot of stuff in his monologue about creation, kind of how that can both benefit and not benefit society. I also liked a lot of the visual effects in this film. They really are truly amazing. There is a certain kind of visual effect that I can't get into too much detail on for spoiler reasons, but it does involve Michael Fassbender. The xenomorphs, for not being robotics, for not having that Stan Winston technology that was used in the earlier films, they really did an incredible job with the CGI in this film. Normally I'm not a fan of overuse of CGI, but they really did it the right way here. I thought when they needed CGI, they used it, and when they didn't need to use it, they went the practical route, which I also really enjoy about this movie. So when the xenomorphs show up, you really do believe that you're watching these xenomorphs do these terrible things on this planet. So amazing visual effects in this movie. There's also some great action scenes in this movie. One scene that's briefly shown in the trailer. It's not a spoiler because, like I said, it's actually in the trailer. But when you see it in its full length, in its full completion in this movie, it's a scene involving a xenomorph jumping on top of the ship, making sure that some of these people don't escape the planet and so forth. It's a really amazing action scene. That's one of many incredible action scenes that happen in this movie. This film has an incredible sense of action. Ridley Scott lets us see everything. There's an occasional shaky cam shot or two every once in a while, but for the most part, we get to see some really incredible action that really plays out in a really incredible way. The performances of Michael Fassbender, Danny McBride, and Katherine Waterston all gave great performances here. Michael Fassbender has to do something with this role that he didn't do in Prometheus that kind of takes this role to the next level in this movie that I can't talk about too much. But when he does have to do that, it's very amazing. It's just really incredible what Michael Fassbender can do as an actor. Danny McBride, who we're used to seeing in comedy films, he actually is a really incredible dramatic actor. He really is very good in this movie. He definitely brings like a Bill Paxton, but still pretty serious about what's going on, but finds his comedic moments when appropriate and so forth. So as far as Danny McBride goes, I really like him in this kind of stuff. I really hope he does more dramatic roles in the future. He really sold me here in this movie. He really did a great job. And then Katherine Waterston is very much in the vein of Sigourney Weaver's role from the first two Alien films. And I should say Alien 3 and 4 because she's in those movies as well. So I liked how her performance was very much a Ripley, Sigourney Weaver-esque kind of a character. I really was able to buy into her playing this kind of character after playing kind of the complete opposite of that in Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. Like I said, I like how this film, for another positive, is very much in the vein of the first two Alien films. It really does feel like the film that Alien 3 should have been, or what Alien Resurrection should have been back when those films came out. So I like how it's very much a proper, Ridley Scott touched and established Alien film that really feels older than it is, while also feeling new at the same time. For my negatives of Alien Covenant, though, there really is a lot of dumb and disposable characters in this film. When some of the characters die here, we kind of just forget about them. There's certain characters that by the time the credits roll in this movie, you kind of forget that they were in the movie. And some of these characters just do incredibly dumb things. One character alone does something in this movie that really could have prevented so many things that happen in this film that are just based off one dumb thing that this character does. And there's just characters in here that really don't know how to handle a gun, and they know how to handle science and ships and protocols and policies and all these things that the ship is required to have when they have crew members on board it. So it's just really too bad that the script goes into dumb, disposable character territory and characters that just don't know how to shoot a gun. So no wonder why these aliens were able to take them all out. And that goes to my next point. This film is extremely predictable. Every time I was thinking about something that might go in the certain direction that this film goes in, strangely enough, the film goes in that very direction I was just thinking of. So as far as like originality goes and really taking the franchise in interesting new directions, it doesn't really do that too much. It really is pretty predictable. If you've seen almost any of the earlier Alien films, you're probably going to be able to predict this plot pretty well. It's unfortunately kind of in the same vein as those earlier Alien films are. James Franco, believe it or not, is in this movie, and he's completely wasted here. He probably gets maybe no more than 4 minutes of screen time, and I'm not exaggerating here. Really just a waste of an incredible actor. So, James Franco, I'm sorry, man. Whether your scenes were cut or whatever, you really were wasted here in this movie. I really hope that Ridley Scott, if he uses you in more movies, let's hope he uses you in more interesting ways in his movies. I was really not impressed with how they handled James Franco in this movie. There's also annoying little kill cues that I like to call them in this movie. Just moments where you can tell that a character's about to get killed off or going to have something horrible to them. It almost feels like, hey, we think you're all pretty stupid, so knock knock, here's something pretty bad about to happen to this character. And it really doesn't give the audience the benefit of the doubt. And once again, that goes back to the predictability of this movie, where you can just tell when a certain character is going to experience a horrible death or something really horrible is going to happen to them as far as like an illness is concerned and so forth. So it's really too bad that they went that route in this movie. And overall, I thought the third act of this film was just really silly. There's just something that involves a shower in this movie that just was way too ridiculous for his own good. I was kind of laughing to myself in that moment. The third act I thought was a little too silly for its own good. And then overall, I didn't like how Alien Covenant didn't feel as smart or as intelligent as Prometheus. Prometheus encouraged us to ask more questions about the universe. Alien Covenant was just kind of like, let's have a good time and not have to think too much. So overall, I'm going to give Alien Covenant an 8.5 out of 10. It's a very fun Alien movie. It's a very good Alien movie in the Alien franchise. Unfortunately, it has a lot of dumb disposable characters in it. It's very predictable. It's a waste of James Franco. The third act I thought got really silly, and it's just not as smart as Prometheus. But like I said, it's a very good installment in the Alien franchise, in which I think Alien 1 and Aliens by James Cameron are better movies. But it's a strong third installment for the Alien franchise.